Hi, I'm Cailey. I'm a librarian here at Mentor Public Library.
And I'm Meg, also a librarian here at Mentor Public Library, and welcome to this week's edition of All Booked Up with Cailey and Meg, where each week we give you different recommendations based on a different theme. This week's theme is going to be teen road trip books. So as we head out toward the ends of the summer, road trips are pretty popular anyway, especially I would guess this time of year, can't really do a whole lot else. But these books will take you to different places with different teens.
Yes, and who doesn't need that right now to, find a way to escape, even if it's by literature. And all of the books we're talking about today are available through the library in physical form here at our branches, or through Hoopla or Libby by Overdrive on your phone, tablet, etc. So Meg, what's your first road trip book?
Yes, so my first book is I Want to Be Where You Are by Kristina Forest. And this is her debut book, and it's really a sweet road trip story about a girl named Chloe. She's 17 years old, and she is a budding ballerina. It's her passion. She loves it with all her heart. She's been doing it since she was a little kid. So as she's getting older, about to graduate, about to be a senior in high school, she wants to apply for this really prestigious dance conservatory in New York City. She lives in DC, so it's in New York, but she's shocked and totally crushed when her mother, even though her mother has supported her whole life with her passion for dance, her mother says, no, you cannot apply for this. I don't want you in New York City, in a big, scary city like that, all by yourself. So she forbids her, and it
honestly, my mom would have said the same thing.
Yeah, so it's just like, what? But so Chloe, actually, when her mom goes on a romantic cruise without her, with her boyfriend, Chloe's left alone at home. So Chloe, Chloe decides, you know what, I'm going to go anyway. So, she has some, her and her mom have their little issues, but so she decides, I'm going to New York City myself to apply. The problem is that Chloe has this fear of driving. Her dad actually died in a car accident a few years back. So she has some, anxiety surrounding that. Well, in comes Eli. Now, Eli is her next door neighbor who used to be her best friend growing up, but they had a falling out in the past. So they're kind of now like frenemies, but he comes around, he notices her problem, and he says, you know what? If you don't let me and my smelly dog Geezer come with you on this road trip, I'm going to tell your mom what you're doing. So, Chloe acts annoyed, but secretly, she's relieved because she won't have to drive. So she lets them tag along, and they go on this journey. And along the way, they meet some old friends from high school. They go visit her sister who's in college. And along the way, they just have a heart-to-heart, her and Eli. They talk about, the problems they had in the past. They talk about the issues each of them are having with their parents. So their little frenemy friendship maybe develops into something more. So it's a really sweet story. I also like the look that it gives into the dancing world. I love watching dance, like World of Dance and things like that. And it's a unique perspective. Chloe shares her struggles as one of the few Black ballerinas in her circle. And also she's recently had an ankle injury. So it kind of goes into her struggle to gain confidence in her dancing once again. So that's, once again, I Want to Be Where You Are by Kristina Forest.
That sounds really interesting. Like, it has a lot going on in it.
It does, yeah.
Well, my next book has a lot going on in it too. Yeah. This book is called Let's Get Lost by Adi Alsaid. And this book is about Layla, who is on a road trip to go see the Northern Lights. And she is on this journey where she meets and connects with all these different people, including these 4 people that she really makes a connection with: Hudson, Bree, Elliot, and Sonia. They tell this story. So the book is really unique because it tells the story of Layla's road trip through the eyes of these 4 people that she connects with along the way.
Cool is that?
And she's zigzagging across the United States in sort of a weird pattern to get where she's going. And she goes through Mississippi and Kansas, Minnesota, and Washington. And along the way, each one of those towns represents one of the characters who then narrates that section of the book. So it's almost kind of like a short story collection with this like underlying connection, because each section you learn a little bit about this character. So Hunter, you learn all about his insecurities and his world and what's going on right now. But then this crazy girl comes into his life, and you learn more about her at each step of the way too. And you find out how she impacts them as well as how they have an impact on her. And finally, like as you get farther and farther in the book and she's getting a little closer to her journey, you do get her perspective near the end of the book, finally finding out what has motivated this 17-year-old girl to go in search of Northern Lights on her own on this solo road trip. And you find out there's a lot more than meets the eye to her, and a lot more behind this journey than she let on.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. And also, I think it's a really cool destination. Like sometimes the road trip's more about the journey, but that's also really like, why does she want to go there? So that sounds good to me. All right, so my next one is called American Road Trip by Patrick Flores-Scott. And this is a cute look at siblings and their relationship. So it starts with, his full name is Teodoro Avila. His nickname is T. And he's 17 years old, about to the summer before his senior year of high school, and everything is going great for him. You know, he's met this girl and he has a budding romance with her, and she's kind of inspired him to improve his grades. So he's studying really hard, working with a tutor to hopefully get into the University of Washington. And he's going through all of this, but then during that summer, something really sad happens. His brother comes back from Iraq. His name is Manny, and he's really struggling with PTSD. And it kind of impacts his entire family. It's him, his brother, and their sister, Soshi. So what happens is Soshi, the sister, tricks the two brothers into all three of them going on this road trip from Seattle, which is where they live, to New Mexico, to their uncle's chili farm to hopefully work on the chili farm and actually find treatment for Manny. Their uncle actually also was in the service and actually had some trouble with PTSD. So she's thinking that this can help him in some way. And they go visit lots of family members as they travel from the north to New Mexico. And what's really sweet is it goes through this balance of, you know, what will you do for someone, a family member that you love deeply who's hurting? You know, how much are you willing to put aside even your own deepest hopes and dreams for that? You know, because there's that conflict of, you know, all the studying that T has to put in to, you know, get into college, and then all the struggles that Manny has, you know, is that balance. And I think that's a really compelling balance. And I really like how the author approaches it in this book. So that's that one. I love books about siblings, and also shout out to my brother. His wife just recently had twins yesterday. So the sibling aspect of it really is touching me.
So exciting, and you're going to tell me more about that later.
Yes.
My next book is called Field Notes on Love by Jennifer E. Smith. And you might recognize her name. She's pretty popular in YA books. And this book is, I'm breaking the rules a little bit. This book is technically not a road trip, but it is a cross-country trip with lots of different stops.
Okay.
So it's just bending the rules.
Yes.
So this is about a teenager named Hugo, who actually is from England. And he and his girlfriend, Margaret Campbell, have planned this amazing cross-country road trip for them to spend their summer before they go off to university. So, sounds amazing, right? Well, big problem, Margaret dumps him. She tells him that he should still go on the road trip and everything's booked and he should still do it. But all of the stuff is in Margaret's name and it's not transferable.
Oh, no.
So he places an ad online searching for another Margaret Campbell to accompany him on his train journey so that he can get this done. I know it sounds so silly and cute, but so this is where the other main character of this book comes in, May. full name, Margaret Campbell. And
Great.
May is reeling from the fact that she did not get into her dream film school. Yeah. And she feels like her life is too safe and she needs to take more adventures and challenge herself. And she comes across this ad and decides it's time. She takes this leap and she goes to meet this complete stranger, foreign stranger at that, to take this journey cross country with him on the train. And the two of them have completely different goals in mind for this, but they're stuck together on this train, and sometimes in hotel rooms and on different tourist destinations. And along the way, they sort of kind of grudgingly get to know one another, sharing why they're taking this trip, what it means to them, a little bit about their family, about their friends, their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their goals, all that stuff. Yeah. And so it's got all of those road trip destinations along the way too. And the two of them sort of figure out what they want in life together. And of course, there's a little bit of a budding something going on.
That sounds so sweet.
It's so cute. And, it's got sort of those Hallmark vibes to it that it's just.
I love that. It just seems like I've seen that. I haven't read it, but I've read about that book. It just seems destined to be like this great Netflix or even a movie. It sounds
maybe.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Well, great choices. Thank you guys once again for coming to listen to this week's edition of All Booked Up with Cailey and Meg. Next week, join us as we go back to adult books. We're going to be looking at everything Hollywood, so Hollywood themed books. I know that's a really fun, reading about the silver screen. So I think
and narrowing it down is going to be tough. Maybe we should do that for 3 weeks in a row.
I think so. I'm totally up for it. I can do it. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a rest of your good week.
Yes. See you next time. Happy reading.